The evening sun had barely touched the edge of the western sky when chaos shattered the silence on Maywood Street. A routine noise complaint spiraled into an irreversible nightmare. Margaret Cole, a 63-year-old retired nurse, had just finished repairing dinner when the red and blue lights danced violently through her living room window. She opened the door, confused but calm, her voice a soft tremble as she asked what was wrong. Seconds later, the unthinkable happened. Shots rang out. Screams echoed. Margaret lay bleeding on her front steps, her white nightgown soaked in crimson. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notification bell to get notified for more. Share to friends. Where are you watching from? Please tell us in the comments. We love seeing how far our story goes. The body camera footage would later reveal that the officers had responded to a report of a suspicious older woman with a weapon, allegedly seen pacing with a large knife. That knife turned out to be a spatula, plastic, yellow-handled. The neighbor who made the call mistook her silhouette through the curtain while she was flipping eggs for her dinner. But that didn't stop the bullets. In the thick of sirens and frantic calls, no one noticed a black SUV that stopped 2 blocks away. Inside sat a man cloaked in silence and calm rage, eyes like steel, hands twitching with muscle memory. His name, Commander Malik Cole, a shadow in the intelligence world. Delta Force, Black Ops, a soldier trained to disappear and dismantle, to protect lives abroad with precision. But this time, the war had come to his front porch. Malik had just returned stateside from an 11-month operation overseas. His mother had been his first stop, a surprise visit. But the welcome home turned into a crime scene. He walked up calmly to perimeter, his dog tags tucked into his shirt. The scent of burning rubber and fear thick in the air. Officers barely gave him a glance until he spoke, his voice composed, but deadly. "Where's the woman who lived here?" "Sir, please step back. This is an active investigation," a young officer replied, his fingers tightening around his holster. Malik took one long, deliberate breath. "I said, where is she?" Another officer looked up from his tablet. "You family." "I'm her son," Malik said, eyes narrowing. The rookie's face fell. "She's at Mercy General." She was shot." Malik's fists clenched at his sides. "Who shot her?" The silence that followed spoke louder than any answer. The street filled with murmurs, tension rising like a storm tide. He turned, disappearing into the SUV. 10 minutes later, he stood outside the hospital's emergency wing. Blood still stained the hallway floor. Doctors worked desperately to save Margaret. She'd taken 2 bullets, one in the shoulder, the other grazing her lung. Stable but unconscious, Malik stood by her bed, the beep of machines echoing like distant gunfire. He didn't cry. He didn't speak. But something deep in him shifted. The next morning, Malik walked into the police precinct, not as a civilian, but as a federal shadow. He requested to see the officers involved. Denied. He made one phone call. Within the hour, 2 internal affairs officers arrived, accompanied by the assistant district attorney. What followed was a brutal takedown of policy, protocol, and perception. The 2 officers who shot Margaret were suspended without pay. But Malik wasn't satisfied with consequences. He wanted reform. Within a week, he launched a campaign, using his contact across the military, intelligence, and civic spaces. He called it Operation Margaret. His mission? To mandate de-escalation training, increase accountability for false 911 reports, and restructure how police handle interactions with elderly citizens, especially in marginalized communities. His story went viral, not for vengeance, but for his clarity, for his purpose. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He became a force for systemic change. Then came the twist. It was discovered that the neighbor who made the false report had a history of racially motivated complaints. She'd made 6 similar calls in the past year, each involving black residents. None had resulted in charges. Until now. Malik's evidence triggered a new law in their city. Margaret's Law. Criminal penalties for knowingly false emergency calls based on race or identity. Margaret woke up 3 days later. Her first words were, "Did you take care of the neighbor's cat?" Malik laughed for the first time in days. "I took care of more than that, Mama." Weeks passed. Malik could have returned to his unit. But he stayed, spoke at city councils, trained officers. He knew the war wasn't just overseas. It was here, in the silence of ordinary lives shattered by fear and bias. And the moral? Power isn't in revenge. It's in transformation. Malik didn't burn the system down. He made it answer for itself. He reminded a city and a nation that even the most elite soldier can't save his mother from injustice, but he can fight like hell to make sure it doesn't happen again. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you were Malik, what would you have done? If you haven't subscribed till now, please do. Your support means a lot. See you on our next story.